for Balmain. And the House will come to order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question without notice is to the Minister for Transport. Can the Minister confirm if the government will retain the existing goods line corridor to White Bay Balmain in order to allow for the potential extension of light rail in the future?
Thank you. I call the Minister for Transport.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I do want to thank the member for Balmain for his question, for his strong interest in public transport issues. And I also want to take this opportunity to update the House on what we're doing in relation to light rail in his community and what future plans we have in relation to light rail. And I want to start by saying that this government does recognise the Balmain and Rosehill community's strong interest in light rail, especially in the precinct in which the member describes. And I know that this is an issue in terms of planning that this government has not only thought about but actually acted upon when it comes to light rail. One of the first things we did within the first 100 days of government was to extend light rail ticketing to pensioners and to families, which didn't exist before. We actually made it part of the My Zone ticketing, and that was an important step to demonstrate that this government was committed about making light rail part of our integrated network. Since that time, we've also done a lot in relation to the Inner West light rail extension, and we've made a lot of progress, and I'm pleased to report to the House that we signed a major contract for construction of the project with John Holland, and that area is now a construction site, as I'm sure local residents have noticed, with the scaffolding and the signage. The early project works are already underway and major construction is about to start. And Madam Speaker, as part of that Inner West light rail extension, it's important to note that we'll be delivering 9 new stations. It will be an important new transport option for the Inner West community, and of course we have huge hope that it will be a very successful addition to the range of services which already exist. I can also confirm to the House, which I know the member for Balmain is very keen to hear, that the project is on track for passengers to start using it in 2014. So in 2014 I can confirm passengers will be using that extension. And in fact, I was also pleased just a couple of weeks ago to announce that a $20 million contract had been awarded for the supply of new light rail vehicles, and that's actually underway as well, to make sure we have the rolling stock by the time the light rail extension is open. The contract will deliver 6 new and 4 leased vehicles, which will be progressively delivered from next year, which is part of our strategy about expanding light rail. But Madam Speaker, I note some interjections on that side of the House, and it's important to recall that when Minister Watkins was a Transport Minister, he said the Labor Party didn't support light rail and they had no vision for light rail. And that was their position until they got to opposition. And now they've suddenly decided they want light rail, Madam Speaker. They failed to do it. Madam Speaker, they failed to do anything. They failed to do anything, but we are. What they failed to deliver, we will deliver, Madam Speaker. And also, we did commit prior to the election to examine the feasibility of extending light rail beyond the Inner West, and we're getting on the job of doing just that. And my colleague, and I want to thank all the stakeholders who've been involved in that process, including the member for Coogee for his support during that process, as well as members in the City of Sydney and other stakeholders who've had direct input into that process. But Madam Speaker, in direct response to the member's question, the development of the base precinct is a uniquely located and important piece of the Sydney Harbour foreshore, and I recognise the special place the precinct holds to the local community, and I'm pleased that my colleague, the Minister for Planning and Infrastructure, has established a task force to prepare a report on its future for the next 25 years. And Transport for New South Wales, I'm pleased to say, has been involved in that process and will continue to do so. And as I've been saying, it's important to develop long-term plans for the future, identifying corridors that could be preserved. And Madam Speaker, this work needs to be based on evidence, and that's the approach we've taken, and that's the approach we took with the long-term master plan as well. And the master plan, as I noted yesterday, does identify corridors that are experiencing strong growth and lays out their protection into the future. And we're doing that, Madam Speaker, because we don't want to repeat the mistakes made by the former Labor Party, the Labor Party, in not preserving those essential corridors. I'm advised the development of the White Bay cruise terminal does not preclude future development of light rail in that precinct, and this could be examined. So that's advice that I've received. And it could be examined. But again, that's dependent on the task force and the work done by the Minister for Planning in that regard as well. The government's getting on with the job with delivering an integrated light rail network for Sydney, and we're very pleased to get on the job, to continue the job with Inner West Light Rail extension. We know it will be of enormous benefit to residents, and it will also improve the amenity, not just for people of the Inner West, but people travelling to and from that area. And I can say from patronage figures, we've had a huge increase since we extended MyZone on light rail. We actually had to look at acquiring additional rolling stock, which we've done to keep up with the demand. So that's been a very positive sign. So I want to thank the member again for his question, acknowledge his interest in this issue, and again reiterate our commitment to public transport in New Zealand.